People are losing their mind over Cooper Flagg. And this is what I'm talking about. When I said that I was just going to, take a little break after the NBA Finals, and that it was going to be a whole bunch of dumb talk going around the NBA, because this is basically the NBA cannot sell itself on court greatness. The soap opera off court during the season and after the season does not match up to the on court play, guys. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. And this is why they had to send LeBron James to Miami, because all they did was make a soap opera out of his career more than on court greatness that we've seen. His on court greatness never matched up to, Magic Johnson's, Larry Bird's, Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant. His on court greatness never did it, folks. And at the end of the day, in the playoffs and the finals, it didn't match up to the soap opera they was giving us on ESPN and First Take and, all these other, debate talk shows. The soap opera. You guys know what I mean. It's a big soap opera. That's all it is. We didn't need a soap opera back in the day because of on-court greatness of these players in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. That was the soap opera. That was the soap opera right there, folks. The on-court greatness, the rivalries, the defense. Somebody might have said something crazy, whatever. Charles Barkley, whatever it was. The guys that played basketball brought the drama on the court, folks. The problem is these guys are getting paid on these talk shows and what have you, instead of these players in the LeBron James era since the 2010s, instead of them bringing you the soap opera and the on-court greatness, instead of them doing that to push the league, it's been who? The media bringing you the soap opera. That is never supposed to happen, folks. We've never seen that. So these guys are literally getting paid not to do their jobs. These NBA players. These NBA players are getting paid not to, yes, they're playing basketball, but again, the soap opera outside of basketball does not match up to what's going on the court. That's why you hear all this soap opera surrounding everything from, First Take, who is it? I can't even remember all these damn debate crews. What, Undisputed, whatever. First things first. But when you go back and you look on the court, nothing's there. There's really, where's it at? Where's the rivalries? Where's the guys being competitive? And I'm talking about much of the 210s too. Especially since 2015 until now. Where's the competitive nature of these guys? That brings you the soap operas, the rivalries, the defense, the positional players. I mean, come on, man. So I'm just saying, when we talk about this Cooper Flagg, I'm just saying this is a reflection of the entire LeBron James era and what he has brought us. Instead of on-court greatness, they're bringing us a soap opera that doesn't match up to the on-court play. It doesn't match up. So anyways, and I hate to say this about Cooper Flagg because I'm a Duke fan. But, it's hard to be a fan, period, of this, of basketball, college basketball anymore, because who are you a fan of? They're one and done. You were a fan of them back in the day because they were a part of, that college team for, 2, 3, 4 years. And now you don't even consider these players, part of your college team that you always rooted for, because they're all one and done. Nevertheless, you got Jim Boeheim saying, I saw this on The Odd Couple, and Jim Boeheim is saying that Cooper Flagg reminds him of hold on. Jim Boeheim said Cooper Flagg reminds him of Larry Bird. What? Oh my God. You just had different guys saying that, they're from Jason Kidd and a whole bunch of other guys saying that, Larry Bird, Christian Laettner, and Grant Hill. Larry Bird, Christian Laettner, and Grant Hill. Well, first of all, let's get to Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner, if I'm mistaken, I think he played 4 years. Might have been 3 at Duke. But Christian Laettner is one of the greatest college players of all time. Okay? One of the greatest college players of all time that played against real competition in college, played against real competition. When I say real competition, I'm talking about these guys also played 3 or 4 years in college, and a lot of them went to the NBA and became great players. He ain't got nothing on Christian Laettner. Yes, he might be more athletic because there's no defense. And it's a 3-point contest. So if you don't have any resistance, it's going to look like you're more athletic. I mean, seriously, can we stop using people's other great players' names to compare these players to? How come they can't be their own players? Does it ever stop? Reminds me of this, reminds me, because you're trying to, put these guys on a pedestal where they don't belong. If you say this guy reminds you of that, you have to prove it. As far as them doing something similar, somewhere in their career. Maybe in college. Cooper Flagg didn't do nothing similar to what Christian Laettner did in his college career. Not even close. And they want to say Larry Bird. When you say things like this, it just... And look, I didn't even watch the whole thing. I'm not trying to say that they said it on the Odd Couple. They were just saying people who said it. But, when you have guys like Jason Kidd that said this, and you have Jimmy Boeheim, how much money do these guys get paid to say these things? And you got to think like money is the root of all evil, because these guys already got money. They already got money. These are all-time great coaches, players that have seen way better players than Cooper Flagg. It's not like Jim Boeheim started coaching in the 2000s. Are you crazy? Jim Boeheim seen Michael Jordan play. He was a coach when Michael Jordan was playing. What are we talking about? And probably way before that. Jason Kidd came in the mid-90s. What is Jason Kidd talking about when he said it reminds him, Cooper Flagg, of Grant Hill? What? Grant, what? Not even close, man. Not even close. He couldn't even look at Grant Hill's shoes. He couldn't even bring Christian Laettner his shoes. He couldn't even talk to Larry Bird. And you guys talking about he reminds or whoever of these guys? Cooper Flagg, who only played 1 year, never made it to the championship game. I think they made it to the Final Four, where he missed a game-winning shot, and they blew the game down the stretch, and the game was over, and they start breaking free throws down the stretch. That's all they had to do was hit their free throws because they kept putting them on the line. And instead of Cooper Flagg going to the hole, getting a foul, he pulls up for the jump shot and misses it. So let me tell you what, does Larry Bird miss that jump shot? No, sir. Does Christian Laettner miss that jump shot? We all know he doesn't, because he hit one of the greatest jump shots of all time at the free throw line, and he's did more than that too. That was just the greatest one he did in college. And I don't think Grant Hill will miss it neither. Grant Hill will go to the hole and try to get the foul. This is uncalled for right here. This is pressure that this guy shouldn't be getting. But all this is like I said, even though the Odd Couple didn't say this, and other people were saying this, they're still promoting the nonsense. They're still promoting the nonsense. And they love promoting this nonsense because it gives them something stupid to talk about. And now people go out there and try to buy his jerseys and his merch, whatever like that, based off of this nonsense. Well, they weren't comparing Christian Laettner to some other center. Oh yeah, Christian Laettner, he's like Bill Walton. They wasn't saying that. They weren't saying that. They weren't saying Larry Bird is a Havlicek. I mean, damn, they owned people back in the day. For the most part. If they was saying it, there was some kind of credibility to it. 1 year in college. 1 year in college, playing in a 3-point contest. That's your credibility? All Cooper Flagg had to do was hit that knock down that shot at the end of the game. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was going to be tied or they was going to go to, or they would have won. If you was gonna tie, hell, you should have just drove the ball into the basket and got the foul. If you was gonna shoot the mid range, you might as well just shot the three and win the game. And win the game. You would that's all time Duke lore right there. You would have been an all time Dookie going to the championship game. He's not an all time Duke player. So how do you compare him to any of these guys? He's not even an all time Duke player. I wouldn't even say, "Ooh, as a Duke fan, you guys got to realize how I've been watching Duke." I don't know, man. I think I was 13 when I became a Duke fan. I want to say 89 or something like that. I remember those battles with UNLV and stuff like that, Kentucky, and all the North Carolina in the 90s, in the end of the 80s. I remember this, man. When the ACC was great and Tim Duncan was in there and Rasheed Wallace was in there, and all these Raymond Felton and all these great North Carolina guys, and Chris Paul was in, at Wake Forest, and the Bobby Sears was at Florida State and stuff like this. As Cooper Flagg ain't seen none of this competition that was in the ACC, and that was just in the ACC. The ACC was a killer conference back in the day. Those great Maryland teams and stuff like that. The ACC was a killer, man. Was a killer. Dudes didn't. It was rare. It was one and dones. I don't even think it was in the 90s. I don't know one and dones. You couldn't go to the NBA. You would get clowned. You had to be on a whole different level. Maybe Kevin Garnett or Kobe Bryant. But you got to remember that stuff was like, very rare. That you skipped college and went straight to the NBA or was a one and done. They weren't even, you committed to what, 2 or 3 years? Basically 3 years back in the 90s. So it wasn't like, you just came there and you said, oh, next year I'm done. No, you already committed to like 3 years at the college. A lot of us was disappointed when these guys left after 3 years because they could have won a championship, but the 3-year window was like, okay, you got to go now. You can't go to the senior year. You're going to get hurt if you was that great player. What the one and done meant or did, it made not only college a weak league, but it made the NBA a weak league also. That's what college did. And the one and dones opened up the window for all these international players to come in. Because American players never developed. Nobody, I still don't even know what the one and done is, because we saw a lot of one and dones throughout the years. And I think, was it Calipari who started pushing this first? Because to me, if you was this great coach, you would know how to progress players into championship winners. But this guy was it Calipari? I want to say it was Calipari. And I think he only won one championship out of that whole fiasco of getting all these one and done players. So everybody else started doing it. And to me, that's how, Duke lost a lot of great players, was unable to get them because, Coach K wasn't with the one and done. And it really hurt his team. North Carolina started doing the one and done before Coach K did it. And then Coach K finally just gave in because everybody else was doing it. He didn't have any choice. But anyways, throughout that whole thing, I think Calipari only got one championship through that one and done thing. And if I'm mistaken, did they take a championship away from him for... They cheated or did something. Was it like Memphis or something? You guys let me know. But yeah, this is what messed up American basketball, because they no longer was taught any fundamentals. They no longer possess fundamentals anymore. And like I was saying, the one and dones, it's been so many of them throughout the years since the thing started. They never became nothing. The majority of them never became nothing. Now, there were some great players, and that's what the one and done was about, really. Well, this guy, he's so great, he can one and done. But them is top prospects even coming into college. Maybe like, to me, maybe the top 5 guys, prospects coming into college, to me, ever made it as a great one and done. You could say 1 through 10, but that's sketchy too. But all them other dudes after that, after the top 10, them dudes were them weren't good one and dones. All it is, they're promoting that so these agents in the NBA will be able to get paid, and then these kids will go to the NBA and sit on a damn bench and do nothing. And then you get the next crop, and these agents is just getting paid, and these kids, never make it in the NBA. Never make it in the NBA. Well, we got to think about LeBron James' career, folks. Let's think about this. I was thinking about this in a nutshell yesterday. I'm like, well, we already know his lack of a complete game, overall game, or just some game that he can point to where he say he was an all-time great at this statistic. You know what I'm saying? As far as a positional player, all-time great facilitator, all-time great rebounder, all-time great something, scorer. And within these things, it just ain't stats. When we're talking about a facilitator, we're talking about all-time great. We're talking about maybe, because you guys already know, I think at least if you average let's just say if you average 10 assists, we'll say you were all-time great facilitator. If you average 10 or more, you're in the upper echelon. If you average 10 or more, or more than 10, that's upper echelon. You can't go no further. So LeBron James isn't there, folks. We won't even talk about rebounder. That's a joke. Okay, what about score? No, he doesn't have any game when it comes to scoring. He don't have when we're talking about a scorer, and we can talk about rebounder, but he's not even in there. So we can't even talk about, what constitutes you as an all-time great rebounder. You know what I'm saying? If we talked about guys like Moses Malone, maybe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Ben Wallace, these type of guys, and even more. We could just break down how, in Dennis Rodman, what made them a great rebounder, what kind of position they got to get the rebounds, how they jumped off the floor, what they did to make them one of the greatest rebounders of all time. What kind of skill did they possess for them to be able to, be one of the greatest rebounders of all time? So, again, with LeBron James, people will say one of the greatest scorers of all time, right? But where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? He not. Yeah, he might be top 10. He damn sure ain't top 5. He's only top 10 to me because he's been able to be consistent in his scoring average. But as far as the way he gets his points and against what resistance he gets his points, he's not top 5. To me, I can put him at maybe 10, just to be cool, just to be, just to be fair. But when we talk about, how does he get his points? Is he one of the greatest paint players? No. Is he one of the greatest guys with footwork on the perimeter or in the paint? With paint moves, with perimeter moves? No. Is he one of the greatest perimeter shooters, whether from the mid-range or from the 3? No. He's not even close. Not even top 5, or to me, even top 10. Paint, perimeter, from the mid-range, from the 3, footwork, no. No. So his career is like, it's made up to me. His career is made up. But let's get back into this Cooper Flagg thing, and we can get back into that in a minute. But yeah, man, they're setting this guy up, and all they care about is money. All this is a promotion, to sell merch and sell whatever. That's all this is a big promotion. So people run out and they go buy his merch, go buy his jersey, and all this hoopla. They raise the prices for tickets and in Dallas, and we got the big 3. They got the big 3. And listen up, guys. This is how a lot of teams that they call super teams did back in the day, right? They'll have 2 Hall of Famers, and then they'll get a draft pick. 2 Hall of Famers, and then they'll get, a number 1 draft pick, number 2 draft pick, a draft pick that's supposed to be coming in as an all-time great, or coming in, and he was a great player out of college. This is how a lot of teams did. The Celtics did this of the 80s. with Bird. The what do you call them? The Lakers did this with Magic. The Lakers did it again with Worthy. See, LeBron James was never set up to do anything like this. He always had all these, what I was trying to tell you the other day, LeBron James has played with all these number 2 guys. Don't think of number 2 like, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. These are number 1s. These are number 1s. When I say number 2s, with a Wally Zerbiak, Antoine Jameson, at times Ben Wallace could be a 1 or 2, depending on how old he was. Delonte West, Boobie Gibson, Larry Hughes, a lot of the guys on this team, Carlos Boozer, a lot of these guys that you think that would be like number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the team as far as rank. No, guys, these guys could be number 2s. Even Anderson Virgil, whatever the hell his name is, he could be a number 2. Now, am I saying that these guys are number 2 all-time great Hall of Famers? No. We're not saying, okay, number 2, Scottie Pippen. We're not trying to say that. But on the Bulls, for example, you had guys that was in their rank. That's where they was ranked. Jordan was a 1. Scottie Pippen was official 2. Horace Grant was a 3, officially. And, depending on you look at it, Bill Cartwright was like a number 4. And John Paxson was a number 5. That's how guys were on teams back in the day, for the most part. LeBron James skipped that process, and he always wanted to play with. He was the number 1, and I'm talking about before he built his super team, and even that. So you could say that in a minute when you think about it. LeBron James, he was the number 1, but it wasn't like Elgauskas was number 2. He could be fine, but the other players on his team that's supposed to be 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's what they were supposed to be. If it was, that's how it's really supposed to be. But no, his 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7 player could be number 2s on other teams easily. Even when he got to Miami, a lot of these guys, Mike Miller could be a number 2 on another team. Mario Chalmers could be number 2 on another team. Most of those guys on that team could be number 2s on any other team. Besides his, his super team guys, besides Dwayne Wade, besides Chris Bosh, all those other guys could be number 2s. So for the most part, on his super teams, in his Cleveland team, the first time he was there, he never played with guys that you're supposed to be playing with. That you're supposed, that's supposed to be the 3rd guy, the 4th guy, the 5th guy, the 6th guy. That ain't what Michael Jordan ever had. See, if he played that way, we already know he would never made the playoffs. If he played like the NBA was supposed to be played, remember, they went in a panic mode after this guy was heavily promoted as this king, all this stuff coming into the league. When you're promoted as this and that, the most expectations, the king and all this shit, and then you get dethroned for your first 2 seasons and you don't make the playoffs. They got a big problem now. A big problem. Because the problem is, how long is he going to keep missing the playoffs if we don't cut out defense altogether? If we don't cut out hand checking in early 2000s defense that stalled the game. If they kept playing that, it would stall his game because he never developed the game. He didn't want to work on no paint work. He didn't want to paint moves, be a paint player. Never wanted to work on a perimeter shot. Even though he acts like he was a perimeter player just because he could dribble a little bit. So they already knew if they didn't cut out defense in 2005 off season, something like that, this guy might never even make the damn playoffs. Never. Because the only move he has really is barreling to the basket and doing layups and dunks. Because he kept lifting weights and lifting weights and lifting weights and lifting weights. Yes, he could hit a jump shot here and there, but it's nothing consistent. So again, where does he go? What is his career if they keep the early 2000s defense? It's crazy to me because all these fools say, "Oh man, yeah, they cut out hand checking, in the Michael Jordan era, his second three-peat." And I think that was supposed to be like 95 when Jordan was out of the game. He hadn't came back yet until later on, or I think going into 95. Then why the hell did the game slow down so much? And they changed the three-point line one year. So why the hell did the game slow down so much? If they took out all this hand checking. I just remember the last shot Michael Jordan in 98 against Byron Russell's ass. Right before Michael Jordan started to make his move at the top of the free throw line, Russell hand checked him. So he already knew to get that shot off that, he was going to have to push Russell. Because Russell had hand checked him at the top of the free throw line. I'm just saying, man. They were still hand checking. They knew how to play defense without hand checking. How about that? Move your damn feet. That's what they was doing. All-time great defensive teams from 96 all the way until, 2004 before they changed it. They didn't need they didn't care about hand checking. They knew how to move their feet. Even when they changed it, LeBron James was still getting his butt whooped. But what I'm trying to say is, if you could do it on a regular basis and you could bump and grind like you used to, all this stuff in the early 2000s, in the late 90s, this guy would be trash. He won't have no records. He'll be missing all kind of playoffs because he ain't got no overall game. And guess what now? If they never change the defensive rules, guess what? He would have to play defense. So a lot of his energy would be exhausted on playing defense. You guys got the phoniest career of all time, man. I'm just the phoniest career of all time. And then he pays people to say all kind of stupid stuff that doesn't make no sense. That change change the history of the game. It's like, dude, you on your podcast keep running your mouth about you failed. It's in stone, man. You failed. You didn't make it. They changed rules for you. They did this for you. They did that for you, and you still failed. I mean, what does this guy want? You supposedly made $1 billion off of failing, and you still running your mouth? How ridiculous is that? This dude, there ain't no other player in sports history, in any league, going to be one or two with his kind of failures and with his kind of championship record. All-time great players who made it to the top, and to me, who are top 5 players of their sport, not only were they all-time greats, but they demanded greatness. So again, yeah, Cooper Flagg, man, they setting this guy up for destruction. He might not even come through now and do what he has to do because, a lot's going to get put on his back, but, it might not be because this league, to me, is getting weaker. It's getting softer every damn year. It's getting weak. It's getting weaker. It's going to be like, I don't even know. It's going to be, this league is going to be kiddie. They also, changed the rules so you can carry and travel now for LeBron James. Everything in this guy's favor. That's why I said, all the SGA haters, you're dumb. Because, you're trying to hold this guy to a standard that none of the NBA is held to. And I'm not trying to say what he does is good and he shouldn't stop doing it. But I'm just saying there's no standard in this NBA. You can carry, travel, flop, do all this stuff. So you want him to uphold a different standard. But yet LeBron James set the standard a long time ago, years ago, for these players not to have a standard. The LeBron James, the James Hardens, all these type of guys. And you want him to change it, be the new standard of the NBA? It's crazy. What you want is, you're mad because Joker didn't win the MVP. That's what they're mad about. The MVP isn't a playoff award. That's what it's become lately. Scap loves that, playoff MVP. There's only a regular season MVP and a finals MVP. There's no playoff MVP. Nevertheless, you know, maybe Cooper Flagg will do good. I don't know. If Bronny's in this league, who knows, man? I'm not trying to say Cooper Flagg ain't a good player, but don't compare this guy to all-time greats in the past. Who's the other players coming in the draft? There's no. There used to be a lottery of guys like 1 through 10, and you know they talked about them, especially the 1 through 5. Where's the other guys? Where's the other big names? So I guess they're just going crazy because, you know, it's an American player, and I guess he is. He could be Canadian. I don't know, but supposedly he's an American player, supposed to be a, you know, good white player, and usually it's the international players who are getting all the pub coming through the draft. So we'll see what happens, man. I like I said, I'm not trying to say he's trash. Not a good player. He's not one of the, to me, he's not one of the top 25 Duke players I've ever seen. He just, it's a joke. It's a joke. This is how weak college is, that he's going number 1. And not to hate on his game again, but it just shows you how weak it is when, to me, he's not even a top 25 Duke player. He's not. He would get destroyed if I put him back in the 80s as a Duke player, the 90s, the 2000s, and it's questionable, the 2010s. We were winning championships in the 2010s with Duke, the 2000s, the 90s. We were playing all-time great teams, too, in those eras. Hell, some of those eras, I don't even think he gets drafted. It's just too physical for him. Just too physical. So, I mean, in this era, okay, we can gauge it. And, you know, I expect them to, the Dallas Mavericks, to be a good team next season. And maybe, to me, top 5. If AD plays like AD again, I don't know what happened to when he went to Dallas. He was just running around the court. It was almost like, hey, pass me the ball. Hey, I'm Anthony Davis. Do you remember? Hey, you remember me? Top 75 player. It was just like, it was crazy. You know, that guy was like a role player or something. When he was with the Lakers, that guy carried the Lakers. Let Anthony Davis not have a good game. That team is going down in LA. If we don't get the 1 or 2 in points, they're going down. 1 or 2 in blocks, they're going down. 1 or 2 in rebounds, they're going down. And that's all in one game. Game to game. The Lakers were doomed if he didn't do all that in one game, every game. And then you send him to Dallas, gets him, and he just like run around the court doing nothing. And we already found out why, so they could tank. Why he came there and got hurt, tank. And why Kyrie faked that injury, tank. Because I told people, I said, look at the play-by-play guy. It says, I don't know if all this was premeditated, it was scripted, whatever it was. But it didn't go as scripted as it was supposed to. Because I don't think Kyrie really wanted to hit his knee against the other guy's knee and really mess up his knee. But anyway, on the call, on the instant replay, the play-by-play guy said that Kyrie Irving bumped knees with the defender. But when you slowed it down, he never did. He never did. It's called scripted, folks, and I was called a fool back then. I was called this. I was called that. And when you're talking truth and outside the box and you ain't running in line with the sheep, guess what? You're going to get it. You're going to get it from the what they call it, the sheep dog. The sheep dogs are going to come for you because you got to stay in line with the other sheep. But at the end of the day, I was right. Because at the end of the day, what came out? That they were gifted Cooper Flagg because they gave up Luka Doncic to LA. So in the draft, they you got to remember, it all came together as one. They couldn't get that lucky lottery pick of Cooper Flagg unless they kept tanking in the standings. They were too high at the time when Anthony Davis came over. So when Anthony Davis come over, boom, he's injured right away. Boom, then Kyrie gets injured. Now you can just keep falling down the ranks. Remember, you just can't do stuff and make it look obvious, right? Say Anthony Davis came over there and now he's playing with Kyrie and they just start tanking. That looks too obvious. So everything has to fall in place. They both got hurt. And then Anthony Davis did come back, but he was acting like he didn't even know how to play basketball, and they weren't even throwing him damn ball. And they tanked down the standings like they were supposed to, because like I said, they stayed too high where they was, there's no way you could justify them even at all getting that lucky, which you still can't. But well, we know why now. But at least now you could say, oh, you know, they were low enough. They can't go to the playoffs and get that first pick out of the lottery. And the ball goes, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I was called a fool. I was called a conspiracy theorist, all that stuff. Remember, I don't talk like anybody else. Everybody, the majority of these guys scared to talk like I talk because they're going to get demonetized. I'm not going to run with the script. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give you guys the realest real of what's real. And that's it. And if people don't like it, they can go back and follow the script. That's why I try to change my channel to off script, because I'm not running with the script. Even if you think some of these people is really dissing LeBron, going against LeBron, a lot of them is promoting LeBron James. Promoting him to make money. I'm not promoting this guy. I will say stuff that nobody will say. And you done heard it in the past. How many people say he playing with all these number twos? Nobody. Most of them just say, oh, he played with good players, good role players. No, he been playing with number twos. The majority of his role players could be number twos on any team. And like I said, I'm not trying to say number twos as far as Hall of Famers. I'm not trying to say that. But still, a number two is a good number two. Terry Porter was a good number two. He ain't a Hall of Famer. Sean Elliott was a good number two. He ain't a Hall of Famer. Dan Marley at times was a number two. He's not a Hall of Famer. But the fact is, if he was that good, he could have made some of these guys a Hall of Famer. LeBron James. I was just saying, Terry Cummins at one time, number two. He's not a Hall of Famer, though. He could have been. You know, Tom Chambers, a number two. Should he be a Hall of Famer? Yeah, I think he should. Kevin Johnson, a number two at times. Should he be a Hall of Famer? Most people say yes, but he's not. And some of his number twos are comparable to the guys I mentioned, and some of them ain't. Gotta go, guys. That's the YouTube police ringing the doorbell, trying to demonetize me. Hold on, wait. I'm not monetized. Oh, let me go deal with them, guys.